Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City. Just 1 point separates the top three teams in what we are calling the best title race ever. 10 games to go. Today, we are debating the title race, the games remaining, the teams, the players, the stats. We're doing it all. Stay tuned. Roll that intro. Let's get straight into the episode. We've got to start with the weekend. Liverpool City, a 1-1 draw. Could have gone either way. Jamie, we'll come to you first. 2 points dropped or a point game for you in that game?
Weirdly, I've got a mix of both. Because if you went off the first half, we're 1-0 up. Liverpool had their first attempt on target in the 48th minute, which was a 35-yard shot free kick from Slobsai. So we did very well in that first half. Completely nullified. Like, you couldn't hear Liverpool fans. Anfield was nullified for the first half. Then in the second half, completely flipped. We could have lost that game 4-1 on another day, kind of thing. But I think the problem was our own mistake. Ake's half hit pass back to Ederson flying out, taking out Nunes. Both of them should have been easily avoided. And I think if that didn't happen, the game wouldn't have gone on to be nearly one-way traffic for Liverpool in that half. I think that really gave them all the momentum they needed. Like I said, got the crowd back up, sort of then pushing them on to win the game. So really, I'd say from first half performance, it's 2 points dropped. But from the second half performance, it's a point gained because really they could have easily scored. Like I said, they could have scored 4. I think Luis Diaz was brilliant, but bloody awful at finishing. He was great apart from when it got to the big chances. I think he had 2 or 3 big chances himself, and he completely fluffed them. And luckily for us, that's the sort of case. So yeah, it's a mixture of dropped and gained.
Reece, for you, I guess we can still debate it, but I guess Arsenal were the real winners from the weekend, i.e. you got the 3 points, both your rivals dropped points. That's the positive spin on it. What did you make of the match? Did you want a certain result, or are you happy with how it played out?
Yeah, I mean, by the end of Sunday night, you'd say definitely Arsenal were the happy of the 3, because they are top. They won their game. These 2 didn't. It was the best case scenario at this moment because one of them would have won. They would have gone back top. But before we look into their game, yeah, I mean, I'd say a draw was a fair result. I think it was definitely a battle between 2 teams that are the 2 best teams for the last 5-6 years or so. City may have had less possession, but they were definitely more accurate with their shots on target, weren't they? So they got a deserved opener. And Jamie's right. I think it could have been a different half, but it just goes to show how good City are when their backs are against it. They can still pull out a result. I think both City and Liverpool fans will look at it the same way. A point gained, but also 2 dropped. But let's be honest, it was more important for City because they were the away team. Liverpool, I think, will be more disappointed that they didn't put that game to bed because I think Liverpool have already had 4 points. Arsenal have taken 4 points off Liverpool. They've taken 2 points off City. I think they would have been quite grateful to have maybe taken the win there to give them the edge a bit. But fair contest, and I think that's probably the hardest game for both of them going into the rest of the season now.
Just on that note, slightly maybe a controversial opinion, but I looked, and I think I said it in the chat, I looked at that Liverpool side in terms of the lineup and when you should be beating these. So I appreciate you're both saying like draws all right. For me, I still felt pre-game anyway. The way the second half played out, agreed Liverpool probably should have won, but I thought City should be winning that. Like, City didn't really have any major injuries. I know Diaz didn't start, but you look at that Liverpool side, no Trent, Alisson we know is a big player. Salah did come on but didn't start. So I personally, I thought pre-game City should have won that. Obviously, how it played out could have gone either way. But yeah, personally, for me, if I was City, I'd say it's probably 2 points drop pre-game.
But you got to remember the game just isn't played on paper. I understand where you're coming from. I do partly agree it wasn't Liverpool's first 11, and technically wasn't ours either. There was a few changes, but that was more down to Pep than injuries. So you can't. There's no excuse from City in terms of their starting 11, except for Grealish, who I would have started on the left, just because he brings a bit more control and a bit better defensive qualities than Alvarez and Doku, who's obviously came on as a sub. So I do agree with that, with the sort of the defense. But if you remember the people they brought in, Keller, by the way, he is 25. He's played in several games for Liverpool, won them cups. He's not exactly, a complete novice. Bradley's done brilliant recently and has come in and fit that role like a glove. So to be fair, like, Liverpool players stepped up, but I do think it's more the Anfield sort of way, and I think if it was at City, then we would have I think dominated the game more and probably would have won. But I think at Anfield, I think Pep does go, you know what, I'm fine with a point here. He plays a bit more sit back a bit, and we did this last year to Arsenal at the Emirates, and we did it this year, and that was sort of didn't work out because of a last minute goal, but we did it at the Emirates last year where we sat back more, let you sort of pile up the pressure, and then we just hit you, and it worked last year, just didn't fully work this year. And I think it was, if Ake, like I said, if Ake doesn't play that misplaced or half sort of forceful pass, it's a different game, and Pep's tactics would have worked, I think. But I think it's harsh to say City should have won that, but I do understand your point. I just think it's never, you can't just say on paper this should happen, because we wouldn't enjoy football if it was just based off that.
It's testament to Klopp's management skills. He's good at getting those players motivated. I think any other manager would have not had any run with this young players. That's not saying they're not good. I just don't think they can't get that fighting spirit out of them. And I think Klopp's probably the best manager to do that. So I think they deserve full props there, really. They went toe-to-toe with the treble winners, when they've had squads 10 times better than this on paper.
Yeah, fair point. Well, let's move on, and we'll get into the fixtures for some of the teams and do a bit of a review into those. For those screaming at the TV for the Liverpool City games, going, "Oh, what about the decision at the end?" Please do follow us on TikTok. We've covered it extensively. Obviously, this pod is a day later than usual, but make sure you're following us on TikTok. Put your comments in there. Right, let's talk Arsenal. Reece, I know you said it a few weeks ago. Let me just get the fixtures up. So, obviously, the next game is with the next league game, at least, is the big one. So let's talk that. We'll probably dedicate a few TikToks to it. But literally, the next league game up, as it stands, is Man City versus Arsenal, end of March. How are you feeling about that? And I guess the question for both is that game a chance to put either team out of the title race?
I wouldn't say it's the game that puts either team out of it. But you can make this the headline of the video now. Arsenal will not win this league. They will not go to the Etihad and get 3 points. They will not. Their fixture list is the hardest of the three. They will not go to Man City and win. They will not go to Tottenham and win. They will not go to Man United and win.
Hey guys, very quick one. If you've got this far in the episode, one very small favour we ask, if you could please help us out and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, and as always, it's absolutely free. This means you won't miss an episode, you'll always be up to date, and of course it helps us grow the channel. Appreciate your support. Back to the video.
And they're going to struggle at Chelsea at home when they play them. They are not going to win those games. They do not have the mentality to do it. But at least they're there. That's what matters at this moment in time. The pressure will be on City for this game because they have to win that. They've already lost to Arsenal once. Well, twice if you count the Community Shield. They can't afford to lose that one.
We don't count that competition, do we? I thought if you don't win it, you don't count it. That's sort of the rule.
I remember you not putting it on the t-shirt, no?
No, but as a whole, like the chance of Arsenal winning 3 times It's just against Man City. I'm sorry, but no. It's going to be the same as last year. I've called it the last 2 years in a row. It's going to be exactly the same again. But better to play him now. Better to play him now than it is 3 weeks' time.
But why, Reece? Why are you so confident that you're not going
Because
to?
they just don't have that mentality or that oomph to get over the line. They've shown it when they went to Villa Park, to St James's Park, even to Craven Cottage. They just can't do it like at these moments, even at home to West Ham, and all of a sudden they've clicked again. They just don't have that quality to do it, I don't think. And like I said, modern football, modern Premier League football does not work that way anymore. Man City are going to win those games. It's going to be the same old boring, predictable league at the end. It's not the best league in the world. Man City will beat Arsenal. They might get a draw, Arsenal, but they just don't have the quality to do it. I'm just not. And I'm sorry what Arsenal fans might think, but I've got it right the last 2 years in a row. Watch those videos. It will happen again. And even if we do beat Man City, we'll go and sod it up against Brighton on the 6th of April. That's just what we've done. And I just don't see us getting over that line. They're the teams I'm worried about the most.
All right. Well, let's do that. Let's entertain your argument, I guess, for the starting point. So City away for Arsenal. You've then got Luton at home, Brighton away. Brighton away, you could argue, is a sort of potential red flag. Wolves away, who have been good. Spurs away, United away, and then Chelsea. We don't know the date yet, but at home, there's some of the games that are potential red flags. I do see what you mean. There's a lot of tough fixtures in there that you wouldn't have you down as winning without foul. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, you need to think of the mentality side of things of these games. That Tottenham Arsenal game on the 27th of April, Tottenham are still fighting for that top 4, even top 3, right? They are going to be up for that. They caused us all sorts of problems when we played them last time. They will go all guns blazing in that game. That United game away from home, how many times do we go to Old Trafford when it's in our hands and we throw it away? That's Man United's last home game of the season. They're going to look at that because they could have a 4th in possibility. We don't know, but they're going to look at that and upset. They're not going to care about giving it to Man City or Liverpool, the league. Everton, they could be survived by then. So we don't know that. Wolves away, they might take their foot off because they're better than what they are.
Last game of that season, Everton are going to be.
They should be safe. They should be safe. But I'm not.
Even if they aren't safe.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Home, Arsenal will win that.
Yeah, but you said that against Southampton, and I told you we'd struggle against Southampton last year, and we drew. So it's. I think
last game of the season was a bit different. I think.
No, but I think we'll be better prepared. I just don't. I just think the momentum, the mentality, if I can get my words out, that Tottenham away and that Man United away is what's going to kill it off. It's going to do it. I think Chelsea have proven that they've got better. I think they'll give us a real tough game. They did at Stamford Bridge. Apart from their own stupidity, they should have taken all 3 points. I just don't think we've got it in us to do it. And the fixture list just hasn't been kind to us. And that's not an excuse. It just hasn't. We shouldn't be fighting for the Premier League as it is. So we've collected the points now, which is important. So if you have a slip up against Man City, it's not like we're 6 points behind, right? So, you got to look at it like that. But we're just not good enough to do it. And I'm sorry, but that is what it is. I heard the pundit saying that we're laughing.
Reece, come on. You've scored the most goals. You've conceded the least. And you've got the most points in the league at this time.
Yeah, at this time.
It doesn't mean you're not good enough. Because
but we're not.
Have shown that you are good enough.
But we're not.
You are fighting.
Well, look, 2 years ago, I told you we're 4th place. Everyone said you got a game in hand. I said it doesn't matter because of who we're playing. Newcastle also had their last home game of the season. We lost them. Last season, I said we'll lose to Nottingham Forest because that'll be their game that seals their thing, and we'll beat Wolves at home, for example. It's saying good. We don't have that mentality to over the line.
Okay, the odds might go you are the underdog out of these 3, and that's fair enough because City
and Liverpool have
been there and done that. But I think the way that you're coming across is like you're Luton, and you're facing City and Liverpool.
We're probably the equivalent of Luton in its top 3.
In the past 2 years, you've been a very, very good side. There is a reason why you are in the title race. There's a reason why you actually do have a decent chance of winning the Champions League. Either might not happen, but you still are there. And I think to say not good enough is too harsh.
It's not
You
harsh
might
because
be
we're
right with
not.
these
We're
three
not.
games
Yeah.
all
You got
away is what's worse, but I still think there's better chance than
Yeah, we're good
what you're
enough
giving.
if we
I
lose
don't
those
think you're
three
going to lose
games.
all three of them games.
If we
That's
lose all
City,
three, we've got to rely
Spurs,
on you to
Chelsea.
lose. But we just don't have that in it for us, and I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. It's just how it works. Unfortunately, we're not good enough. It'd be great if we did, but I just don't see it. That's not me saying that we're crap. It's just it is a mentality game, and I just see that block. We had to work hard on Saturday against Brentford, which we expected because Brentford are that unpredictable team. They've got a good fight in them.
I think that happens though. That
We just
happens to
can't
all
do it.
teams. City have struggled this season. There's been some
Brentford we
results
beat
in
1-0,
that.
by the way. We beat
Yeah.
Brentford 1-0, and it took a slip from the Brentford defender. So it's a difficult game, and you've got to remember in these title races, there's always games that will be so tight. I remember when we won the league with 98 points, it took, I think it was about 2 centimetres, the ball went over the line against Burnley just to beat them, I think 2-1 or something along them lines. These do happen in these games, and I'm fully confident that even if ignoring the game where City and Arsenal play each other, all three teams will drop points in these last 10 games. Not a single side is winning all 10. And if they
No,
do, they play, but I don't see that happening. So
I
losing
would
one,
say you're in the best position to win all yours. Looking at your fixtures, I mean, let's go on to your fixtures. Other than us on the 31st,
yeah,
look at some of those, Jamie. Which ones would you say are going to be the games that you drop your points?
Spurs away.
Yep, that's possible.
We've only just scored
Yeah.
them.
That's
They'll
a favourite.
they'll want revenge in the FA Cup as well, Spurs, because they'll feel hard done by. So they'll go for you on that one.
Yeah, we've got Palace away, and I'll tell you now, Palace away, when we've played them the last few times, we've only won by the odd goal, and it's come late. Last season was 1-0 penalty, Haaland scored, and that was the 80, I think it was 81st minute or something along them lines. So it's a tough game. I'm not saying we're not going to win these, because on paper we should win all the games.
Yeah,
But
Palace will be
it's not
tough
the way
with Glasner as well.
Forest last season, we drew 1-1 with them. We should have actually won that game 6 or 7-0, but we ended up coming out with a 1-1 draw. Fulham have done well at home, so because we're playing away, I'd expect to beat them. But last season we played them around the similar time. We won 2-1 on a very tight game. Villa have still got something to fight for, and you got to remember we've got to chuck in. Well, Arsenal as well, Liverpool as well, but we've got to remember Champions League games come up in some of these. In between some of these games, I don't know when they are, but that could also be pivotal, because I wouldn't want a Champions League away game versus, let's say, it could be Bayern Munich, could be Real Madrid, and then have to play Spurs on the weekend. And that sort of, some of them can be an issue. Like, luckily for the Liverpool game, we'd already done the business against Copenhagen, and then we had to play them at home. So things like this do add to the pressure of games where you might go on paper, oh yeah, City are going to win that, but then you're playing midweek. The other teams have got no game midweek. It adds to it, I think. And we've also got Brighton away, and I think that's just such a weird fixture for us. We will turn them over 4-5-1, something like that, or we're going to get beat 2-1 or 3-2. It's a weird one, that as well, in it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's quite clear cut, because I did look at the points. I think there was a stat that I saw, was points per position who have you got left. And Arsenal's was 1.63 if the opponents have got, and Man City's was 1.62. So really, per that sort of stat, is we've literally got even amount of games left, and that includes City's points and Arsenal's points in that.
I think yeah, saying those fixtures, I think Forest away is a bit of a sticker one, because they're fighting for their lives down there, and like you look at someone like Nuno, he's going to want to grind out a result against City. And that's going to be really tough. You'll either go there and thump them 5-0, or you will struggle.
What I saw last year should have been a 5-0 game, ended up 1-1. They had one shot on the target in 88th minute.
I think that is Forest is one of those games they'll probably get one chance, one goal. I think they're the concern. West Ham at home, don't worry about that. Wolves at home, wouldn't worry about that.
The only thing about Fulham away, I just want to add,
what they're fighting.
They've got Traore, and he loves scoring against us. he just loves that baby oil on, and he's off. He's like, oh, Man City, perfect. That's it. Load him up in it, and he'll be gunning for it.
Yeah, I think you're right, Reece. Well, you're right in the sense that Arsenal definitely have the harder run of fixtures, without a doubt, and more of the big games are away. Let's just talk Liverpool very quickly. Just some of their highlights in the league, at least. Brighton at home. Sheffield United aren't even worth mentioning. They've got United away, which obviously is a bit of a derby. You never know.
They've got
Fulham away as well.
They've got the FA Cup as well with United.
Yeah.
That might take a bit out of them.
West Ham away.
Yep.
West Ham away, actually, just mentioning that. In previous years where we've won the league and it's been a title race between City and Liverpool, West Ham have always got a result against Liverpool. So, you know what? City and West Ham fans, we get on. I'm hoping they do it again. Shame they couldn't do it against Arsenal at home, but I'll take it against Liverpool.
You play them the same day. You both play on the same day, as the schedule says. I'm sure it will change. But you agree, like West Ham are that team. I mentioned this last year, when we fell apart was at West Ham away, wasn't it, really? Because they are that team that the fans just get in your face because they might not be performing, but their attitude is, you know what, if you go out there and shut one of the big boys up, it's something. And I think Liverpool will look at that and think they're probably going to have to bank points along the way. I think if they beat Man U in the FA Cup, they probably might not beat Man United in the league. But I think their fixture list is pretty decent. Like, I think all three teams can look at a pretty favourable last game, but I don't think it will go to the last game. It depends on how Liverpool are against Villa away, second to last. That might be critical.
I think it could. I mean, it's a three-way title race, right? I'd say statistically, it's likely to go to the last game more so than any other season.
Yes,
it is, and it'll be a funny one for Everton fans, wouldn't it? If they're facing relegation, and but if they win, they give Liverpool the title, they might want to just chuck it. I don't think they would, to be fair, because I think they need to survive for the sake of their financial future.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters with Everton.
No, but
yeah.
But there are some tough games in there. Crystal Palace might have a say because they're playing both Liverpool and Man City on this run.
Well, Villa have got all three of us, and Spurs.
Yeah.
They're
both will have
fighting for the Champions League spot, which obviously you saw Spurs turn over Villa on the weekend, but that means they've got more to fight for. But back with that sort of stat that I said before, where City and Arsenal's won, Liverpool's is the most favourable fixture on paper, fixtures left, with 1.4 average. So it's a bit better than City and Arsenal's. And obviously, they don't need to make up points that City do. So things like that can massively matter. I do think the Everton away fixture, it's got to be confirmed when it's being played. That could still be massive because it's a derby. It's massive for Everton, and it's just one of them games where they could help us out anyway. Hopefully.
And just going back to Liverpool as well, although we're writing off, West Ham, Fulham, like 3 tough away games, Fulham, West Ham, Villa, all in the space of a month. So that's not easy, even if you're in form. You'd think they're gonna, slip up at one of those. Let's talk. Obviously, we've talked fixtures. We promised some super computer stats. So I'm going to read these off, and we can debate whether we agree and ultimately give our predictions for who we think is going to win the league. So this is from Opta. It's not some made-up supercomputer like the Sport Bible do that changes its mind every bloody hour. So as it stands, the percentage chance of winning the league, according to Opta, Man City, 45.9%. Liverpool, 35.3%, and Arsenal, 18.8%. So, Reece, maybe the supercomputer agrees with you. Arsenal are the least likely to win the league, according to the various calculations. And this pretty much is what the bookies use. So the bookies' odds suggest that City are favourites, Liverpool second, and Arsenal third. Is that harsh? I don't know.
No, I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
All right, and again, for those watching, quick chance, pause the video, put your comments below. Do you agree with those stats or not? finally, let's get into it. We've talked the fixtures. Let's talk key players. Is there anything to watch out for? Is there a key player that we go, look, if they get injured, it's going to affect us, tactically? We'll come to City first. The obvious ones, Haaland and De Bruyne. Can you survive if one of them gets injured for the rest of the season? Or can you win the league, not survive?
Well, we're still up there with De Bruyne being out for quite a while of the season. Foden has stepped up, so I would actually put Foden in amongst that. However, I think the biggest one would be if Diaz or Stones got injured. Probably more Stones, because I don't think Diaz has been 100% at his game this season. Because defensively, we've been poor. We've kept so little clean sheets when normally we're top. So that's where I see we need to keep both of them fit. And unfortunately, Stones does pick up injuries. So I think he could be massive. If Haaland gets injured, it is a blow. But I think Alvarez does perform with enough goals. Although his performances have dropped. He wasn't very good against Liverpool, but then neither was De Bruyne and neither was Haaland. So really, I do think if De Bruyne and Haaland are on form, we score a ton. So
yeah,
that's massive for us.
And Marie, same question to you. Any one player or set of players you think could really ruin your title charge?
Defensively, we have to keep our defence fit. When we lost Saliba, it did fall apart. And I do think we're probably the best defensively of the three. So I would say that we need to make sure our defenders stay fit and maybe avoid, a couple of injuries there and there. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll cover Liverpool, but I think for me, for Arsenal, I'd say Rice. I honestly think you lose Rice in that midfield, you're going to crumble. The form he's on, the role he's currently playing is just a joke. For Liverpool, the obvious one is Van Dijk for me. Again, defensively, you lose him, and you've got Quansah, you've got, Konate's good, but you then putting Gomez in the mix. Maybe, it's not a good combo. Van Dijk has shown time and time again he is different level. He's a leader on the pitch. So I think if Liverpool lose him, they will not win the league, to put it bluntly. On that note, we promised you our updated predictions for who is going to win the best title race in history. So let's do it. I'll kick things off. I do agree and this is kind of reinforced today doing this podcast and looking in detail at the fixtures. The simple reality is City have an easier run. I'm not saying by much, but they've got the experience to do it before. They've got the managers to do it before, and they've got the better fixtures. And they're only 1 point behind both sides. And I don't think goal difference it will end up being a factor. So I'm going City. I'm going to agree with the old supercomputer. City it is. Reese, what about yourself? You've been very vocal on Arsenal not winning it. So who is it, City or Liverpool?
Even though it looks like City are more likely, I've stuck to my guns and said Liverpool would win it from the start. So I'm going to keep with Liverpool.
Yeah, and there is evidence of that. For those who aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Reese said it earlier in the season. We all laughed at him, and here we are, Liverpool in the title race still. Jamie, no bets for who you're going to go.
I'm backing my side, of course. Of course, I am. I'm backing my side. I've got to. I think we still do have enough. I think Arsenal. I'm actually going to go with Arsenal coming second and Liverpool coming third. I understand why you might think that, but I think Arsenal like I said, they've got the most goals, least conceded. They're definitely going to I think they're going to push it all the way, and I don't see them, like Reese I said before. I don't see them losing to City, Spurs, and United all the way. I think they'll win at least one of the three, and pick up probably a point in the other two. But yeah, so I'm going with City. City to win the title. I've got to back them. 4 in a row. That's what I want to see.
We're all sticking with our pre-season predictions, ironically. So that's quite funny. 28 games later, and we still sticking with our guns. Look, we've had our say. We've debated it. It's time for you to get in touch now. Pause this video if you need to. Hit us up in the comments. Make sure you're following us all channels. But we do genuinely want to hear your opinion. And tell us who you support, obviously, so we know that you're biased. Anyway, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill. Bye.